The ancient enlightened Hindu civilization existed in 56 nations with 200 Hindu kingdoms, 1700 Hindu provinces, and 10,000 Hindu traditions. Some of the ancient Hindu kingdoms that have produced revered incarnations of Hindu history include the Pandya Samrajyam. King Pandya was the progenitor of the Pandya dynasty. King Pandya was the most senior brother of four. The other three were Chola, Chera, and Kola. They each founded some of the oldest civilizations that are still living today through their people. The Chola Samrajyam brought to the world kings Raja Raja Cholan 1, 2 and 3 who built the largest Shaivite temples such as the Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur, India. The Surangi Samrajyam. The kingdom of Surangi stands as the oldest surviving dynasty on earth. Some of the most illustrious leaders in Hindu civilization, such as the great incarnation of Vishnu, Sri Ramachandra Prabhu, hail from this kingdom. The Surangi Samrajyam is also specifically the lineage of King Harishchandra's descendants, who later became known as the Rajputs that ruled over Gujarat and surrounding regions. The kingdom of Surangi is established directly by Lord Paramashiva through Lord Surya, the sun god. The recorded history of the lineage of Surya begins with the reign of Ishvaku. Ishvaku is the first king to implement the Manuvadi Dharma Shastra, the world's oldest constitution dating back to more than 10,000 years. The Manuvadi Dharma Shastra also elaborates on responsible democracy, the world's first democracy. The Hindu constitution and the Hindu responsible democracy, when implemented in the ancient Hindu nations, contributed to more than 40% of the world's GDP circa 2000 years ago. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, through the line of succession, is the present 203rd Emperor of the Kingdom of Surangi, crowned on the 31st of December 2004 at the age of 26. Pallava Samrajyam. Pallava Samrajyam ruled over Puducherry and surrounding areas. The Pandya dynasty existed for several thousands of years as a Hindu sovereign state. It was ruled over by the Shyamala Peetham Sarvanapeetham, or the Kingdom of Madurai, a Hindu sovereign papal state in which, through the line of succession, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is the 293rd sovereign Supreme Pontiff. Likewise, all the regions of the Chola Empire and the Pallava dynasty were coronated and initiated by the Guru Mahasanidhanam, Supreme Pontiff of the sovereign ecclesiastical historical entity of the Kanchi KAILASA Sarvanapeetham Tunde Mandala Adinam. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the 233rd sovereign Supreme Pontiff in this sovereign ecclesiastical lineage of Kanchi KAILASA Sarvanapeetham. The Chola dynasty established their empire over southern Asia and Southeast Asia from Kanchi, Tamil Nadu, India, Kedah, Malaysia, and developed diplomatic and trade relationships all over Asia, including southern China. The kings of the Chola dynasty, such as King Raja Raja Chola, after all victories, installed a Shivalinga in the Sri Palsami Mat, Tanjavur, which is presided over by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The sovereign Hindu papal state of Shyamala Peetham Sarvanapeetham, through unification with 20 other sovereign Hindu states and sovereign ecclesiastical historical entities, became part of the United States of Kailasa, which thus became a sovereign independent juridical state with the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, as the sovereign, and the sovereign ecclesiastical historical entity of Kanchi KAILASA Sarvanapeetham, through unification with 20 other sovereign Hindu states and sovereign ecclesiastical historical entities, became part of the United States of Kailasa with the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, as the sovereign Supreme Pontiff, thus acquiring all rights of the sovereign ecclesiastical entity of Kanchi KAILASA Sarvanapeetham, treaties and constitutional authority of the Pallava and Chola dynasty. Unfortunately, like indigenous people from all over the world, indigenous Hindu communities globally have been subjected to centuries of ethnocide and genocide. Hindus have been orphaned through centuries of persecution, slavery, oppression, forced labor, sexual exploitation, colonization, massacres, brutalities, and worse crimes of genocide, which killed more than 400 million Hindus, pushing them into generations of homelessness and statelessness. Millions of Hindus have lost their right to life, the right to practice and express their belief, spirituality and religion, right to express their arts and traditions free from denigration, interference and violence during this multi-generational transnational colonial racism. The generational ethnocide and genocide of Hindus is unacknowledged and extend to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa, For more than a decade, there have been more than 100 assassination attempts on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and countless lawfares and media disinformation campaigns. The United Nations upholds KAILASA's privileges while recognizing KAILASA's inherited unbroken historical sovereign status as per the preamble of both the UN Convention on Diplomatic Relations and the UN Convention on Consular Relations that declares that historical rules of customary international law continue to govern, and confirms that all nations from ancient times have recognized privileges and immunities of sovereign entities of differing constitutional and social systems, and requires that a state shall not discriminate as between states, including a historical form of statehood. KAILASA is a sovereign subject of international law, possessing distinctive attributes of juridical statehood derived from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivan's inheritance of the unbroken succession and the revival of three ancient Hindu sovereign states, namely the kingdoms of Surya Vamsa Surangi Samrajyam Sarvanapidam, Suvarnapita Swargapura Samrajya Sarvanapidam, Shamalapita Sarvanapidam, also the Kanchi Kailasa Sarvanapidam, and 17 sovereign Hindu ecclesiastical historical institutions that receive customary recognition by the United Nations as per the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations and the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. Additionally, in international law, the principle of continuity of states states that if there were upheavals and revolutions within a country, changes in governmental forms, the extent of a country's territory, and measures taken during a military occupation do not negate the existence of the country. International law recognizes a state's legal personality through the recognition of its identity. This perspective extends to periods of annexation or occupation where the legal personality of a state is considered to persist, enabling its subsequent re-establishment. Historical examples dating back to the 18th century and including cases like Portugal and Genoa, as well as instances of state re-establishments after the Vienna Congress of 1815. More recent examples such as Poland, Ethiopia, Czechoslovakia, Albania, and Austria during and after World War II serve as modern instances of state re-establishment, offering additional evidence in favor of recognizing and preserving a state's legal personality over time. Just as any other state under international law, KAILASA should be afforded its due diplomatic recognition, privileges, and immunities. KAILASA is the revival of the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation with its own sovereign territory. It is the first and only sovereign state for all the 2 billion born and practicing Hindu diaspora worldwide, led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Unlike any other modern nation, the United States of KAILASA provides a base for the revival, preservation, and central administration of Hinduism similar to the Vatican, which serves as a central administration hub for the Roman Catholic Church.